Oh boy, let me tell you, Vic Beasley is at it again for the Falcons. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your man, MorganMan. Thank you so much for tuning back into yet another episode of Falcon Friday, presented by the MorganMan Sports Podcast. You can find me here on SoundCloud.com, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. In today's episode of Falcons Friday, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about Vic Beasley screwing over the Falcons yet again, and also we are talking about some training camp buzz that has happened within the past 3 days of this podcast going live here on Friday. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get straight into today's action. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, as I said at the top of the show, Vic Beasley is at it again, doing the same exact thing that he has done last season, and it's just astonishing. So on July 29th at 3:38 p.m., Ian Rappaport reported that Titans veteran pass rusher Vic Beasley did not show up for COVID-19 testing again today, and there has been no communication on why or where he is. Per sources, the team put Beasley on one of its big FA signings, meaning free agency, on the reserve/did not report list yesterday. So there was, of course, July 28th, the start of training camp for all 32 teams across the league. And it looks like the Titans, are frustrated about this. But are they really frustrated? Well, according to Ian Rappaport and John Cherkery of 92.9 The Game, it is looking like the Falcons, still with this signing right here, is going to lose a compository pick, I think a round 5 compository pick from the Titans if Vic Beasley does not show up, and the Titans gain that 5th round compository pick. So Vic Beasley is still screwing us left and right here, despite him being on another team. And that's what frustrates me about this dude. Yes, he is very great because he was so great last season. I almost changed my mind about getting rid of him. But now with him acting like this right here, I just don't like the dude because he has a poor work ethic. He really does. And he just does not care about the game. He is just in it for easy money going into the NFL right here from Clemson University, like back 5-6 years ago. And I mean, it just mind boggles me that a player like with this much talent just does not want to put in the work ethic and, really grind and hustle, But still, I think in the end of the day, he is a little salty about the Falcons not re-signing him. And that's why he's going to do this. He's going to do this so that way the Falcons could lose that extra fifth round pick, actually, and just ruin their day. It really is. So I do want to report that to you guys because that is something Falcons related, that we could lose a 5th round compository pick out of just Vic Beasley not showing up to training camp, or not really showing up to training camp, but just the Titans possibly maybe releasing him, and then we lose that. So thanks, Vic Beasley. So hopefully your shows up to training camp and we get our compository pick. So now we're going to go on into some training camp news, and to start off right here, we're going to start off with some good news, and that is Dan Quinn says Falcons players are in fantastic shape in camp. It is not uncommon to read stories ahead of the NFL training camps that players work with trainers throughout the offseason and are in the best shape of his life. That's an easy narrative to promote, and many professional athletes do dedicate their time away from the football field to recover and get their bodies prepared for the next season. However, the 2020 offseason has been unlike any other in the league's long history. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, players have not been able to receive the typical hands-on personal training they typically do, or at least not to the degree they have in the past. Without teams being able to directly work with players during alluded times in the offseason or receiving progress updates from personal trainers, the burden and condition has fallen largely to the players these past 4 months. The Falcons coaches, have met with players for virtual coaching sessions throughout quarantine, but the nature of those meetings are largely to go over the mental aspects of the game. Atlanta head coach Dan Quinn elected not to require mandatory team workouts over virtual calls, but he appears impressed with the way his players dedicated themselves to staying in the shape while away. There are, end quote, there are a number of players that are in fantastic shape, Quinn said. They just devoted this time to training and going, so there was a normal break for summer vacation and the normal rotation for an NFL player and coach. They've been training hard. Most players coming into training camp, it certainly sounds like they are in excellent shape. So I do like this right here. And of course, now this is for all 32 teams across the NFL, but every player should be in fantastic shape. And going to look at Grady Jarrett, dude, oh my God. Him and Marlon Davison, the way they're built, this is going to be a destructive D-line this year. And I am looking forward to that. But more specifically, Grady Jarrett, I mean, someone said, he should skip the weights, like lifting, and more focus on like leg day. Dude, no, don't do that. Like, do what you're doing because you were fantastic last season, and then now here you are just jacked, like a lumberjack pretty much, with all the big muscles and just looking toned, man. Dude, offensive linemen is going to be scared of you, Grady Jarrett. They really are. So that is that one positive thing coming from the training camp facility in Flower Branch. Now I do want to focus a little bit on some negative things that I'm hearing or that we have heard recently throughout the entire Falcons community. And so this is Wednesday, July 29th, and the Falcons have placed Keith Smith and Jamal Carter on the reserve/COVID-19 list. This article was reported by William McFadden of the AtlantaFalcons.com. The Atlanta Falcons have announced Wednesday that fullback Keith Smith and safety Jamal Carter have been placed on the team's reserve/COVID-19 list. Due to the league's policy pertaining to COVID-19, NFL teams are only allowed to comment on a player's roster status and may not disclose whether or not the player is in quarantine or tested positive. A 5-day initial tested phase began for rookies on July 21st, and they have begun undergoing daily tests as part of the NFL's COVID-19 testing protocol. Atlanta veterans began their 5-day initial tested phase Tuesday morning of this past week. Smith, 28, entering his second season with the Falcons after starting at fullback for the team in 2019. He played in all 16 games and made 5 starts while carrying the ball 5 times for 8 yards. Including for 4 first downs, Carter, 26, was signed to the Falcons practice squad at the start of the 2019 season, but was active for 11 games due to injury at the safety position. Carter finished the year with 10 tackles and in 1 pass defense. The Falcons also announced this past Tuesday that safety Jalen Hawkins has been placed on the team's reserve/COVID-19 list. So this is already starting to become a concern where certain NFL players are, testing positive or are in quarantine. And that really does kind of scare me because what happens if these numbers continuously rise? Are we going to have to then start postponing games in the NFL season? I believe so. If more players are going to be on the reserve/COVID-19 list, maybe we could keep the number short for all 32 teams. But for right now, we got 3 players on that list. And hopefully it could just stay those 3 players where they can come back, start working out, and learning the playbook, and we get September 13th here a lot more quicker. And also another kind of like weird and kind of depressing news right here for the Falcons and that is Dan Quinn, Atlanta Falcons, unsure of Todd Gurley's workload during training camp. One of the biggest questions for the Atlanta Falcons this season is the health of Todd Gurley. Gurley, a two-time All-Pro running back and former Offensive Player of the Year, has struggled with knee problems over the past few seasons. He arrived at training camp early in the week, and head coach Dan Quinn doesn't know how much Gurley will participate. We'll discuss the work plan with Gurley before making a decision, said Quinn on Tuesday. The Falcons head coach touched on known concerns about Gurley's left knee, but said there is yet to be a set plan of how we'll manage him over the next few weeks. Gurley seems to be ready to go. He proposed several workout videos on social media during the spring showing and how much his knee is taking some weight. And honestly, I've seen all those videos right there, and dude, his knee is looking great. But that's just workouts. I want to see, obviously in training camp now, you can't really hit nobody. I mean, yeah, you can touch them and shove them, but that's it. You can't go full blast of hitting them, and that is a good thing. It really is. But it's all going to come down to the Seattle game opening day at the Benz on September 13th. The running back is coming off a down season in which he ran the ball 223 times for 857 yards and 12 touchdowns. And you're thinking, wow, damn, that's a down season? I still consider that an up season. Double-digit touchdowns on a arthritic knee that's been injured? Dude, that's fantastic. But he also caught 21 passes for 207 yards and 2 touchdowns, totaling that out to being 14 touchdowns for Todd Gurley. Last week, Gurley was vocal in saying that he was prepared to sit out in the upcoming season if the NFL and the NFLPA couldn't agree on a COVID-19 plan. The two sides eventually agreed on a deal allowing for training camp to begin on time. Players are required to have 2 negative COVID-19 tests before they're allowed to enter the team facility, and they will be tested daily for the next 2 weeks. So now, for them saying the next 2 weeks, are we going to start just having training camp? All right, so we got it on the 28th right here. So the 4th right there, and then the 11th. So are we going to stop Saturday, August 15th and let the players rest? Or are we going to continue training camp for a whole month of August and then let the players at least just have 1 week off and then it's, boom, here's the 2020 NFL season? I don't know. That's going to be a really up in the arms question right there. I personally think we're going to have a whole month of training camp where the players are going to catch up on OTAs, mini camp, strength and condition, which they're actually doing that from this past week right here. And I believe that will carry on to halfway of the next week. And then, of course, we'll start seeing the players out on the field practicing route running and catching and everything else like that. So guys, that is all the time I have for today's episode of Falcon Friday, presented by the MorganMan Sports Podcast. But I sure hope you did enjoy today's episode. If you did, make sure to like button here on SoundCloud.com, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast from. Till then, I, Morgan, will catch you all later. Peace.